Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Anessa and I'm an author from Toronto, Canada, and I publish under the pen name and Sage. I write fantasy, mystery, a whole bunch of different genre mashups. And on this channel, if you are new here, what I do is I share tips and tricks, kind of what I learned along the way of having published 24 titles to date and more coming in the new year, being both traditionally an indie published author, and pretty much anything that interests me when it comes to writing and being creative and feeling my creative well and just being an entrepreneur in today's landscape. So if that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, make sure that you're subscribed and that you hit the bell notification so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Now, I mentioned in my last video that I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off for the holidays to kind of recharge, reset, and get my bearings back together, spend time with family, do all of that like fun Christmas and New Year stuff. And so I'm still going to be doing that. However, this is pretty much kind of our last video again then for the year, because if I'm taking that time off, we won't have videos coming through the holidays. And so I wanted to do something a little bit informal, more like this vlog style. We're not sitting in front of my bookcase like I always do. I'm kind of like standing here in my plotting like witchy area. And I am doing all this. And then you're also getting a little bit of a tease of what I'm working on right now, which is the second book in the Miss Brooke Manor series. This cover hasn't been revealed yet. So if you want to be super sneaky, I guess zoom in and check it out. But otherwise, let's not talk about that because I'm going to be revealing that cover in the new year, but I need it for inspiration. So now you get to see it too. But yeah, I'm in my tarot area, kind of just like have everything set up here. And I wanted to chat. And I wanted to chat about something that I'm doing right now in these 2 weeks and something I've already kind of started doing, but something that I think is very, very important when you are a creative person, when you do something that's creative either for a living or as a side gig or just for fun. And that is resetting your creativity. And I try to do this pretty much every year at the end of the year, because I think it's very important to take a breather, reset our creative wells, get the creative juices flowing again, and do different things and make small little changes in our lives that help us continue to be creative, continue to write, continue to have ideas, and do all of the things. And so I kind of wanted to talk about the things that I do and different types of tips that would be helpful for you that you might want to try too if you are either wanting to reset for the new year or feel yourself like you're in a rut or having a writer's block or something like that. These are all things that could be helpful with any of those. So the first thing that is very important, spring cleaning is spring cleaning, but decluttering your workspace. To declutter your workspace is to give yourself fresh eyes on the place where you sit down and you work and you write and you draw and you read and whatever it is you do, the paint that is creative. So decluttering that workspace, the workspace tends to get pretty cluttered through the year. I won't show you right now. I'm next to my desk, but there's like a whole bunch of stuff on it right now. And that happens to all of us, especially when you're creative, because you kind of like jump from ideas. And so things get left behind. You might have a lot going on. You might be a maximalist like me. But that also means that there's a bunch of stuff there that probably shouldn't be there and doesn't have to be there. And having a clean workspace is always like having like a fresh mind. So what I usually do is I take everything off my desk or wherever I'm working, take everything off, give it a nice clean, spray it with some cleaners, wipe it all down, wipe everything down. And then I make piles. And it's kind of like that. And does it bring me joy? Not, but basically, when was the last time that I used this object that has been living on my desk? And if the answer is it's been a while, then it goes away somewhere else. I only keep the things on my desk that I have used in the last week or 2 weeks or the last project that I worked on in anticipation for the next one. And anything that doesn't have use or anything that is just strictly decorative, unless I'm like itching for this decorative thing to be on my desk, it gets put away. I'll slowly start adding stuff. This is the life of being a creative. We constantly add fun things to our desk, to our writing areas, to everything that we do. But to start the new year and to reset your creativity, you want as clean as a minimal and uncluttered space as possible. The other thing that I do is I create mood boards. Also, I'm not going to have any like tags or usually the pop-ups that I have, because I kind of wanted to do this A, informally, B, I'm in a hurry to do a bunch of stuff today and wrap up projects for the year. And so like I kind of just wanted to do an informal chat. So number 2, create mood boards. As you can see behind me is the mood board for the next project that I'm working on. I am not currently working on this project. I am just getting the juices flowing. But I created a mood board. I sit down, I look on Pinterest, I look on like online, I think of movies and books that I've read recently that I like. I look at art, and I do that, and it kind of helps me work on something creative, but also play with something creative. And putting it up in this way is a very different way than me sitting at a computer and typing. And so it kind of resets that part of the visual part of my creativity. So mood boards are a great way to reset your creativity. If you are writing, if you are still writing, if it's non-stop writing, it is very helpful to write outside of your comfortable genre. So for me, what that's going to look like is I have started kind of working on a thriller. I've mentioned the thriller before. I've never gotten around to writing it because I was always a little bit afraid of diving into it. It's a genre I'm not super familiar with writing wise. I read a lot of thriller, but I don't write thriller. I write cozy mystery. I write fantasy. I write paranormal cozy mystery, and that kind of world. I write YA. I don't write straight thrillers. And so I kind of wanted to write outside of my own genre. And I think that's really going to help me set the passion and the spark that I have for the genres that I do work in and I do write in. So writing outside of your own genre that you're very much comfortable and used to and might be kind of getting bored with is a good idea for that reset. Meditating and practicing mindfulness. As you can see right here. And this is my area of meditation. I have put a pause to tarot reading because I was very, very busy for the last 2 months, and we've had changes in my childish sleeping pattern. So we weren't sleeping, and it was a bit of a hectic situation here in the Sage house. So I put this kind of a pause to it, and I am starting it again. And that is going to really help me get excited about something outside of writing and creating. And that part of the reset is really, really helpful, I find, because I'm going to be meditating a lot more. I'm going to be journaling a lot more. I'm going to be pulling tarot cards and writing about them. And for me, tarot is a creative outlet because it always sparks inspiration. It sparks stories. It's looking at cards and at imagery and creating a story from it. And so it's the way that your brain works when you're reading tarot cards and when you're trying to figure out the meaning behind them and how they relate to your life. You're telling yourself the story of your life, really. At least that's how I see it. And so doing this again and starting this again, starting fresh for me is going to trigger something in my brain that's going to help me be creative again later. When I said writing outside of your genre, but another thing you can do is read outside of your genre. So if you're a writer and you're used to reading what you write, maybe try something different. So I have actually started reading a lot of romance and historical romance and comedic historical romance, and I am really, really enjoying it. It has helped me tremendously with wanting to develop characters and the relationships between characters in a different way than I normally do. The way that I would normally create characters, it's very situational because I write mystery, and so these characters have to fit into a certain plot. But with romance, the characters have to fit into each other and into each other's lives. And so I started reading in that genre. Just randomly, I started reading within the Holtons, and I really, really might be one of my favorite books of the year, actually one of her books. And I have found myself really drawn to the genre of romance, which is not something I write in. And it's not, there's always B-plot romances in my books, but it's not a genre specifically that I write in. And so reading outside of that genre sparked so many ideas for me, and it made me super excited about developing new characters and developing them in a new light. And then this one is kind of like a fun tip, but research something random. Research is always exciting, but research tends to feel like work when you're a writer. So if you pick something random to research and you research that, that might be a good idea. With that too is a double up tip, and that is try a new hobby, and research that hobby and learn about that hobby and become obsessed with that hobby, because it will help you be creative in a way that's not related to your work or what you normally do. So for me, if you've been on my social media, I've been knitting, crocheting, not knitting. That's my next step. But I have been crocheting. I've started crocheting. I started crocheting cute little babies for myself and my daughter, like little amigurumis and little dolls and all that stuff. And I realized that I loved it so much, and it's become my constant, like, nightly activity that I do with a glass of wine. And it really helps me wind down, but it helps my brain focus on something creative that is not, it's a physical creative thing. It's a creative thing I'm doing with my hands, as opposed to a creative thing that I'm doing on the computer. And so my creativity is being reset in that I am picturing creativity in a different way and putting it into my life in a different way, which makes all the other parts of the creative parts in my life more exciting. The other reset that you can do, and this one is pretty important if you're also an entrepreneur or you're trying to move your writing forward in some way, and that is to revisit your goals. So goal setting is a huge thing for a lot of people. I love to do it. I used to go into like super detailed nitty-gritty goals, and then I realized my life has changed, and so now I do big picture goals. I do a few big projects a year. So last year it was to finish my Gothic, like romantasy mystery book, and to start querying it, and to start a Substack that did both of those things. Those were kind of like the big goals. Next year, I'm going to be sitting down. I'm still working out my goals for next year. I don't know what they are yet. I think a lot, bringing the spin-off series that was signed for Richard Hollow, bringing that one to kind of completion through the year would be the number one goal as far as writing goes. Growing this channel and Substack will be another one. And then I also want to look, I've been ghostwriting a lot, but I want to look into possibly figuring out how I can get into article writing, and article writing for people and online and for like publications online. So that's going to be a possible goal. So I'm toying around with a whole bunch of different goals. This thriller that I am talking about, that might be a goal to finish that, kind of like a side writing project. And so like figuring out your goals for the year would be like, and revisiting those and checking to see if those are the goals you still want is a good way to reset that creativity boost. And then the final one I have is using writing prompts. So if you're a writer, sometimes it's really fun to mess around with writing prompts or getting ideas outside of how you would normally get them. I actually have a really funny story. So the Gothic romantasy mystery that I'm currently in the query trenches with, that started because I decided to join a writing battle for a flash fiction. And so the flash fiction writing battle was, it was, I think, 500 words was the most that you could write. And your prompts were tarot cards, of course, how on brand. But the cards were one for like genre, one that represented like a trope in that genre, and one that represented your character. And you had to incorporate all of those into, so like a genre or maybe an object or a place. No, a genre, a place, and a character. And those were the cards that you pull. And so you get these random cards and you had to write 500 words of flash fiction on those. And so I wrote a short fiction story of Willoughby and Clara, who became so she was called Caroline at the time for the flash fiction. Her name has changed. But they became the lead characters in this Gothic romantasy. And the reason that they became these characters, because I wrote this flash fiction and it was a historical romance kind of flash fiction. It was like fantasy in it, like very low-key fantasy. And as I wrote it, when I finished it, I realized there is so much more to the story than this flash fiction piece. And so most of the advice that I have received and the comments that I've received on the flash fiction piece was that like this doesn't even feel like flash fiction. It feels like it's a snippet from a bigger story. And I'd have to agree because I learned that I don't know how to write flash fiction. I have written a lot of short fiction. I've written short stories. I've written novellas. Flash fiction, not my thing. But what I also learned is that I couldn't get these characters out of my head, specifically Willoughby. Even though Claire becomes kind of like the lead in the story. But I couldn't get it out of my head. I couldn't get their relationship out of my head and what their story was. And so I started thinking about them a lot. And that developed into the book I'm currently querying. So you never know what using a writing prompt might create. Now with that, I'm doing something really fun. So when this video goes up, if you are on my Substack, this is on the free Substack, and doing 10 days of writing prompts leading up to Christmas. So the 24th, Christmas Eve, is going to be the last writing prompts, and it's going to start on the day that this video goes live on the Sunday. So we're doing 10 of those, and every day a new prompt will go up at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure that you are subscribed over there to get writing prompts, and I have like some fun ones in there that you can think about. And even if you don't write anything based on them, even if you write a couple of words, it might spark an idea, a creative idea for a future book for you. So that's kind of like my parting for the year on the Fiction Focus Substack there. So make sure you're there. There's a link in the description. And that's basically usually what I do. So I declutter. I try writing outside my own genre. I read outside my own genre. I do a whole bunch of manifestations. I try new hobbies. I look at my goals. I try to do some random stuff that I research. I think the other day I was researching like stuff on like ocean life and stuff, and I was doing it for hours, and it was really great. It was really fun. I learned new stuff, but it didn't feel like I was working. And then writing prompts. So those are pretty much like how I reset my creativity. I've already started doing this. I've been doing this for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be continuing to reset my creativity for the entire month of December, so that when January comes, I am ready to tackle it. And I'm ready to tackle it as a creative, as a writer, as someone who just needs inspiration in their lives. So hopefully this was something that you were looking to hear, and I thought it might be like a fun way to end the year with a video about like a reset routine, but a slightly different reset routine. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to try any of these. Let me know if you're going to be doing any of the writing prompts from Fiction Focus, because I'd love to hear what you have written, even if it's a short piece. Put it in the comments over there. I'd love to read it. And as always, so first of all, I will be doing a community post for the holidays, but if I won't see you in person, obviously like this. So I want to say happy holidays, everybody who celebrates. And even if you don't, then I hope you have a great end of the year. And here's to a great end of 2024 and a powerful, amazing start to 2025. May you go forth. May your writing bloom. May you be creative. And most importantly, may you be magical. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. I love you all, and I will see you next year for another video. Have an amazing rest of the year. Bye.